Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the All About The Metaverse podcast. And we're really excited about this. I'm Bruno, I'm your co host, and today I am joined by my co host, Alexis. Alexis, do you want to say hello to everyone?
Hey everybody, nice to be here. Nice to be with you, Chris. We already had the chance to do something together, so this is obviously very exciting. And it's been a couple of weeks that we're discussing what we wanted to do, where we want to bring this podcast. So of course, this is the very first episode. So there's going to be quite a lot to cover. We're not going to cover everything today, but a couple of interesting things have happened in the last 2 weeks, I would say. So I think it's a good time for us to start that podcast and discuss those topics. Chris, maybe you want to give a little bit of a heads up of what's gonna be on topic today? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, I think there's probably three big things that have happened in the last 2 weeks. And for me, it's the other side. They took their second trip, which was a huge thing. A lot of movement around that on Twitter, for example. But we also had Metaverse Fashion Week, so that's the second year now that they've done that. And again, I think it's one of the key moments metaverse wise that's actually recurring now, so we have to pay attention to that. And then the final thing I think we'll discuss today will be Fortnite's announcement, and I've got to say this. I think Fortnite's recent announcement is absolutely huge.
Yeah,
So I
this is
think that's
definitely.
something, yeah, it's going to be something that we're going to have to look into. But again, so what were your thoughts about the other side's second trip? Have you had a chance to see any of the footage and stuff from that?
Yeah, so I saw it was a little bit of a cacophony. It was quite interesting that everybody would seem to be so happy to be a busybody jumping through portals and like avoiding the alien toads and stuff like that. But the takeaway from this is that you see that finally you have a community that's so happy to be involved and doing stuff, and I think also the graphic were quite nice. I mean, it's not that PlayStation or big gaming companies or AAA games sort of graphics, but it was nice. It was nice. I would have liked to be part of it just for the sake of say like, hey, I was there. But whoever took the footage, kudos for that. I think they're going places at least. Okay, it was nice to see so many people participate at the same time. Now let's see if they manage to gather that momentum. These are good names, a good brand. Okay, they have a lot of followers, so I wish them quite a lot of success. If they continue doing stuff like that, I might actually consider being part of that, because definitely he felt good to, even as a watcher, even as an onlooker, he felt good to look at all these people. I go like, yay, we're part of something, and something was going on. It was nice.
There was a huge amount of positive energy around that event. And you're right, it's not, we are so far away still from the metaverse as has been pictured, whether it be the novel Snow Crash, whether it be the film Ready Player One, like it doesn't matter. We are so far away from that. You can go in and do everything you want and anything you want. And those initial experiences do need to be very specific. It needs to be, look, you can come in here and do X, whatever X may be. And even though X isn't great, like you said, it's that first step, and seeing that energy, I think, is incredible. I also think it was a huge thing. So I've actually done a bit of work and looked into this, but the company behind it are building some technology stacks that are very, very interesting, because basically what they're allowing is the first time that you can put 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people and connections in the same portal. And this is
Yeah,
something that
that's
usually doesn't
quite
happen, right?
heavy,
When you
right?
look at,
Yes.
it's huge. It's huge. Like if you think about a game like Fortnite, it's 100 people battle royale, whatever it might be, but you're never taking on board thousands of people. So I think that there's like the progression graph will be incredible as to how they can actually scale that and keep scaling it. But I think right now it's one of the only people that are trying to find that next step of how do you bring 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people
1,000,
into
or it's
one
about to have a
location.
million. What's
Yeah,
coming
and I
is going
think
to be a
that's
million of
huge.
people, right? As a comparison, you think about this, like how was the experience of Web one? I mean, the internet when we really started to today. So I mean, this is where they are at, right? I mean, the metaverse today is at the stage of this is metaverse point zero, 0.1, right? So we don't even like the metaverse 1.0. It's really 0.1. So I think what they've done was very cool. Watch this space, I would say. They're doing quite well. They are very well funded as well. So it would be quite a disappointment if they were to do some, very boring stuff moving forward. So definitely to look forward the next trip, and there's going to be a lot of new feature, new ads on, and let's see. I'm definitely going to be strap on my seat and looking what they're going to be doing for sure.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, on that very note, what seems to be quite interesting is like while we see so many big brands sort of giving up on their metaverse ambitions, you have the guys that really fervent believers that this is going to places, and you have a public which also he also wants it, right? So they do want this, and I think whoever takes the first steps, those are the ones that are going to be reaping the rewards. And I think it's such a pity that all these big brands they just sort of drop the whole metaverse choo-choo train.
Well, there was a very quick shift in the last sort of 6 months, 9 months, I'd say. There was a real focus and a real investment frenzy in metaverse companies, right? Anyone that said that we were building a metaverse, there was just money coming into them and people were very excited. That shifted very quickly. And I think the AI route took over. And suddenly, with ChatGPT coming out, etc., any startup that said we're building something with AI, they got the money thrown at them. And I think even that's now kind of getting reiterated on again. So once, as always, I guess the money flows where the hype is to a certain extent. But I do think this is a huge thing. Like you said, we're super early stages. There's loads of companies that have literally just gone, well, you know what, this doesn't look like it's going to take off anytime soon. And I think that's probably annoyed by things like Meta having spent billions, but actually no one's sitting there working in VR all day, every day, are they? So I think this is going to be one of those things where we're going to
Neither
have to
are
wait
we.
and see how it goes. I do agree with you. Yeah, neither are we. No, absolutely not. And we like this
Well,
stuff.
something I do wonder though. Do you reckon that word of metaverse has been used and abused and now falling out of grace and love because of that? I mean, if Meta is dumping the metaverse, I mean, are we going to use the word metaverse? And are there better definition, better words that can come and replace that nomenclature? Is there?
Look, I think the metaverse became this really cool keyword, phrase, term, and I think everyone jumped on that bandwagon. The reality is, we are so far away from having technology, even the infrastructure, right? Like our internet connections. I'm still waiting to have access to fiber broadband. I still don't have it. Like they have to come and rip up my street to give me access. So we're not there yet to this idea of having
True, true,
hundreds of
true.
millions of people all living in this virtual world, etc. But it's clearly, for me anyway, it's clearly obvious that there is a demand for this. And the reason I say
Well,
that is if you look at gaming communities, people that are together, if you look at the economies that have been created around things like Roblox, again, we're going to talk a little bit now, a lot later on, about Fortnite. All of these different platforms have created huge amassed groups of people. And I don't think it's fair to say it's a subclass or it's a smaller group of people because they're just the gamers. I think as that technology and as that access to that technology becomes easier, people will do more, like watching live concerts. They will go into VR if it means that they can do something that they're interested in. I just think we're not there yet, right? So it might take a while for there to be a fishing environment, as well as a knitting environment, as well as a fashion environment, as well as a gaming environment, as well as a Call of Duty, kill each other with guns whilst running around like crazy people environment. You need all of these different environments to bring all of these groups, but we're just so far away from that, I think, right now. And whether people like to admit it as well, gaming technology also costs money. Not everybody has 550 quid to spend on a PlayStation 5. Not everybody has another £70 or whatever it is to buy yet another game for their new console that they've just bought. So all of these things also have a knock-on effect that I think it takes a long time before everybody is accessing everything everywhere. Like it's a long way down the line.
this is a very good point that you're making. Is actually that might actually be the one thing that will make people come into the metaverse is because it will become more affordable to come into the metaverse and to participate into like a altered reality sort of gamey sort of world without the heavy cost attached to it, right?
100%. Never forget, right? When you talked about it earlier, joining the internet or going back to the early days of the internet cost a flipping fortune. Like you had
Yeah,
a
for sure.
dial-up modem that not only blocked your phone number, which meant that you couldn't
Even
make
before you
any.
got the modem, you got to have a computer, man. And for the lucky ones who had a computer.
Well, if you had the computer,
Now you have a mobile phone, right? I mean,
well, but
literally
you,
everybody has a mobile phone. Yeah.
but think back to the days when you had that computer and you had that modem. You also paid for access to the internet per minute. It was literally like a phone call being created. So you were just generating these costs. Nowadays, we have mobile phones that come with unlimited minutes, unlimited data, unlimited text, unlimited, like none of that existed. So all of these things, again, like that technology, the access to technology and the cost of that technology as it comes down. Right now, nobody wants to spend $1,000 on a VR headset unless they're a gamer who loves VR. And that's okay. But again, the same thing happened all those years ago.
We're gonna come down to that, whereas the hardware is gonna become more and more affordable, more and more, friendly to wear and use. Because of course, right now, I mean, it's unbelievably bulky, and as you say, not everybody wants to be spending hours into a VR headset. Okay, so well, now I don't know how the Decentraland Fashion Week took place on VR set, because I don't have one, but I'm sure that would have been quite swanky. I mean, like that would feel very immersed, right? Being that fashion week. I mean, I've been to a fashion week before, in Paris, where you are really into that incredible world where you arrive at that fashion show. You have that runway. The decoration is so amazing. You feel like you are so immersed into something very unique, very special. Now, how is this fashion week without the VR set? How would that experience feel through, having just like a computer screen? Would have been fun, not fun? I don't know. I think from that particular case, I would have rather have, like that VR set and feel like, whoa, I'm so immersed. I'm so into it. Yeah.
I think that's one of the big challenges right nowadays, and it still is. So, Metaverse Fashion Week, this is the second year they've done it. It all took place at the end of March 2023. Look, they're trying their best to make this, and I think it is the only event, as far as I'm aware, that brings such big names together. It's now happening on a yearly basis, and it looks like people are continuing to turn up for this. But again, Decentraland is browser based for the majority of the users or the people that are there. Like you say, it's not necessarily that immersive kind of content. But again, I'm trying to look at this as being a positive still for the space, because look, we're so early, like you said, and even if they gave you the option to access in VR, you don't have the equipment necessarily to be able to actually do it. And I think this is something that's really interesting. So one of the co-hosts this year wasn't just Decentraland, there were events in other platforms, was Spatial.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Spatial, for example, do allow people with, for example, an Oculus 2, which will cost you about $300 roughly, I think. And if you've got an Oculus 2, you can actually access spatial environments that have been built, and you can access those through VR. And that's a huge piece, right? It's already like that first kind of step towards it. But the key thing I think here that's always going to be an issue at this stage, you're not able to just walk around different environments. You've got to pick and choose where you're going. You need to log into that platform. You need to get authenticated for that platform. If you then want to go into VR but jump out of Decentraland but then go over to Spatial, you've got to log in and then get
Yeah,
different device
it's
and
still
then
not seamless yet. It's still not seamless. That's right. But that's coming as well. Did you attend it? Did you look at it while it was happening?
I looked at a
The-
couple. I went to a couple, not whilst it was happening. I'm not going to lie. It's something that I'm probably less interested in. Fashion, like for
Yeah, that
me,
was.
and I think very similar for you, right? A black t-shirt
Yes, yeah,
is fashionable.
yeah,
So
100%.
I
And
don't
you laugh.
necessarily.
Now this has become trend. No longer that 2 days ago we were sitting with my wife, just having like a nice fresh coconut, and all of a sudden I'm like, these guys wearing black t-shirt. These guys wearing black t-shirt. And everybody's like wearing black t-shirt. I'm like, okay, I need to get. You are wearing a black t-shirt. I need to get on another fashion sense here. And actually, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. Without, whilst brands should be saying, hey, stop spending money every season to buy our new fashion, they are banking on, okay, we are all wearing black t-shirts or white t-shirts, and then with our augmented reality glasses or goggles, we can overimpose fashion, for the other people, right? I think this is what they're banking on, right? So I think all the money that is being poured into Decentraland and having, I mean, Decentraland or Fashion Week, is to try out that tech where these NFTs will be your wearables, where with my goggles I'll be able to change your t-shirt, like, okay, wonderful Hawaiian shirt in motion, so with having like actual waves inside, right? I mean, this is what it is. And I don't see this as being a bad thing, because of course we always want to tell the fashion companies, hey, you know what, you're really pushing in the time where it should be all ESG and like nature conscious. Why are you pushing people to spend more money on fashion that becomes unfashionable? Now, we could all very well do just like black t-shirt, white t-shirt, and just change your fashion. And I think that's maybe the experiment that's being at play here, really, or at
Look,
least
I mean,
one of the experiments being at play.
the reality of it is none of us know where this plays out, right? If the metaverse becomes this thing that everyone is spending all day, every day in, and if you're working in there, and if you're playing in there, and if you're meeting your friends in there, whatever it might be, the digital wearables change a lot, right? And you've said it there as well. If you then go into sort of AR and things like that, can you influence how other people see you, one thing or other? Maybe that would be a great way of this happening as well. I think all of this, though, brings us back to the key point here, which is, again, as long as we have companies that are willing to invest some money and to do things
Mhm.
differently. And again,
Yep.
I'm not saying that we're all going to, live in our Gucci t-shirts instead of a normal t-shirt or anything like that in this decentralized and digital world. But the idea being that at least they're trying to play with the technology that is available. They're showing what is possible. And you can see it more and more with Fortnite collaborations, Roblox collaborations, companies, big brands doing things in digital worlds, because believe it or not, whether people like it or not, it doesn't matter. And again, if you're one of those people that doesn't game, you automatically look at gamers and think, well, it's a tiny subset and one thing or another. You're talking about hundreds of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people basically that are happy to jump on. It's where they meet their friends, it's where they socialize, it's where they want to escape from reality. And that's a huge part of what this actually is. And I think that's something that's going to keep growing. It's something that more and more people are getting into. The next generations, it's natural for them. And I think those kind of connections to your brands that you like, to being able to show who you are, who your personality is. If I'm
Will
interested in
happen
fashion, I
digitally as
want to
well,
show that.
for sure.
Yeah.
For
And you've
sure,
got
for
to
sure.
be able to show that, right? That personalized, this is who I am.
Well, what I like and what I hope as well, it's that all this tech will finally come in hand as an enhancer of our daily lives. Like truly, this should be an enhancer. Yes, of course, there's going to be abuse. Yes, of course, there's going to be people that go. I mean, did you see this guy that is strapped on his VR goggle and he's living, breathing in the metaverse? Did you see that? This guy, this guy is already plugged into a matrix, and he hasn't. I mean, the guy is going to the pooper with his VR glasses on. I mean,
So, some
okay,
people
I'm
go to
sure
two
somebody's gonna
extremes.
get there. But again, I don't think this technology is made for that, right? It's made just to enhance our daily lives. And since now we're going to have that incredible advent of singularity, where AI is going to really, you know, come to. I think it's going to have, like, like a blockchain, metaverse, AI. All these points are going to converge. They're gonna come and help society tremendously, and those should be technology that enhance our daily lives, really. And I shall really hope that, whether it's like AR, VR, or mixed realities, yeah, this is for us to have a more enjoyable life. As a matter of fact, I don't like the color of my walls here. I would like to change it. Dude, done, changed, phenomenal.
It'd
You
be
know,
a
there was
lot
this.
quicker, cheaper, easier.
There was this scene in that movie from the Wachowski sisters. Now the name escapes. Cloud Atlas, right? So Cloud Atlas. I don't know if you watch that movie, but basically this guy goes into Korea 2200, 2020, 2200 or something, and then when he enters his apartment, he changes dramatically all the decoration on his flat. And I think that the flat itself is dingy and shitty, but when he puts on that digital skin over it, so cool. It's like minimalist Japanese, super zen, super cool. We're gonna get there. Want it or not, we're gonna get there. This is, if it's been imagined, it means that we can project ourselves into doing stuff like that. Okay, so no doubt that we're going to try it first on our clothes and then eventually on our abodes. So yeah, good effort on Decentraland to continuing burning the flame of creativity and interest and rallying some brands. Or even though it's for profit and whatever, it doesn't matter. It gets the attention, even on a very artistic way. I like it, and I would like them to continue pursuing this because as they're doing that, they equally creating interest and jobs because there are people behind it. Okay, there are industries that are being created on the side of it, right? And this is the truth. New technologies are taking away old jobs but creating new, better ones, right?
And new
So
opportunities.
yes, that's right, that's right. So I mean, I'm all for it. I think next year I might again. I might be late in the game. I might be late in the other side game. I might be a little bit late on the fashion week game, but never too late. At least I'm doing a podcast.
It's still early. It's still early. Remember, Alexis, everyone says it's still early. Well, listen, talking about that and talking about these new opportunities in particular, I think that probably brings us on to the third topic that we wanted to discuss, which is Fortnite's huge announcement that they have opened up their Unreal Engine to their community. And they have said, community, go nuts, build whatever you want, create new experiences for other players. And best of all, if other people start paying you for that, or sorry, paying us for that, we'll share 40% of those revenues with the creators of the experiences. And to me, this is, look, it's not decentralization by any means. However, it's an amazing first step. And yeah, people are going to probably scream at us in the comments if anyone's watched and listened to this piece all the way through. They're going to basically say, yeah, but 40% of revenues, that means they keep 60% of revenue. It doesn't matter. They
Doesn't matter.
currently keep 100%
At
of
least I'm
revenues.
doing
It's
something.
all their
Exactly.
community. This is huge. So what are your thoughts on this?
When you think about rewarding the content creators, this is something that is now a staple of the digital presence, let's say. Okay, so you are a content creator, you should be rewarded for your work. Okay, and I think when such a big company is doing it, and and they have a bunch of, I mean, they have hundreds of millions of followers, huh? Let's not forget
Huge.
that will generate huge numbers, and I believe that basically they've become better than what YouTube will ever be, because tomorrow that becomes the YouTube of the metaverse, right? And my thoughts are that, well, I've got a bit of mixed feeling about this, because then you need to regulate this in terms of what content it is and who you address it to, and but that's, I'm sure there's some technicalities that will come into the fold that I am absolutely no specialist on how you implement those. But to me, as long as you can keep people safe and protected from child pornography and bullying, cyberbullying and whatnot, I'm all for it. Man, listen, people become millionaire having content on YouTube. Okay, now people can become millionaire, building content on metaverses. Let's go. Let's go. Let
100%.
imagination run wild. Let
You just said
imagination
it
run
there as
wild.
well. You're saying about becoming like a millionaire on YouTube. I think it's actually Mr. Beast who's now become a billionaire because of the
Yeah.
empire he's built from YouTube. And again, just to go back to the numbers, by the way. So Fortnite, I'm just looking at some average monthly numbers for Q4 last year because those are the ones that have come up quickly. You're looking at about 250 million monthly players.
But
250 million people. This is an economy, right? It's not just a small game or anything else. So to give you an idea, if we look at this in perspective, it's about what, just under 4 times the population of the UK.
yeah, that's it. There you
Right.
go.
So, like, when you start thinking about that in terms of numbers, people, everything else, and yeah, fine, they're not living in it all day, every day, but this is a huge platform, a huge community. And it's a community, by the way, that love it, right? It's not people that come in, well, there are people obviously that come in, try it, don't like it, and leave, but the community of players that are actually there and what they can then build is going to be just, most people don't realize this. When you create something like this and you give people the power, no one takes into consideration where this might go. They think it's going to go one way, and in reality, what happens 99% of the time, it goes completely a different direction.
Now we know, because before we always wanted, to control the masses and making sure that, they are being so regulated. No, now they're giving a platform where they go, okay, just go, just let it run wild. Just they, they open the flood now. Let's go. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
100%.
see where this is
But
going to take
nobody
us.
knows where this might go next, which is what makes it more and more interesting, right? So very much like back in 2007, we got presented with an iPhone. They said that there was an app store, and if you remember the
Yeah,
first ever apps you could
exactly.
download,
No,
they
right
were
there, right there.
awful.
Perfect example.
They were
Perfect
terrible.
example.
And then you suddenly give people the tools and you go, right, well, you can build anything you want. And people come up with the idea, well, how about if we all share our houses and actually rent out the spare room and you got Airbnb? And then, well, how about if the taxi was easier and you could press a button and a taxi appeared and you ended
That's
up with
right.
Uber? These killer apps and stuff. And I think that's what's going to happen with this game. Fortnite has been one thing for many years. Today, well, today now, it can become anything. It could turn into a story playing game. It could turn into a role playing game. It could turn into interactive experiences. It can turn into everything. They've already done concerts. They've already done runs in it, like charity runs. If you go in and you run a certain number of miles, they'll donate X amount to a charity. Again, getting people involved in very different ways than what the original game was meant to be. And I think that's what makes this interesting. For me, Fortnite right now, like Roblox, have built basically a perfect foundation to allow people to go and express themselves. And that to
You
me
know,
is where
something
we're
that
still missing those numbers in the metaverse. And for me, I still consider something like Fortnite as being an example of a metaverse platform.
it is. It is. What I would like to see is something a bit more educational, like like a Fortnite Academy, something where you could blend education and entertainment, where it all becomes sort of one. As we know, people are more inclined to learn, you know, better when they have fun when they learn. Yeah. So imagine going to a class. Let's say in the UK, you arrive there. Like it's 7 o'clock, 7:30 o'clock in the morning. It's still dark outside. It's cold, and then everything is grim, and then you have to stare at that black board, and then like it's damn, like who wants to learn like that?
That
Okay,
basically
well
sounds
then
like my childhood.
Hey, my childhood too. We're the same age right there. Don't you think that when I was done like leaving my Caribbean trip, I arrived back in Europe and I was like, what? That's how people learn? What are you learning like that? There's no way. It was putting a long face, but then of course you don't want to learn because you're a kid. The only thing you want something that's fresh and wild and and fun. So I think the whole entertainment thing is awesome, but should we bring a layer of education as well? I think that is paramount, especially that we don't want to dumb down, the youth, right? We don't want, to have a TikTok generation, okay? As much as we
No,
don't want to
but
have like a Fortnite generation, we would like to have a
but here's a
Fortnite generation.
question. Here's a question for you though, right? Instead of giving them educational experiences, what we have just done is given kids the tools to have to go and figure out how to program in Unreal Engine, which is one of the biggest gaming engines in the world. It's going to get them involved in something that, first and foremost, let's be honest, in schools, we do not focus enough around technology. Full stop. We do not.
Well,
Considering
here,
where
yeah,
the world is today, I mean, when I went to school, the job I now do and the agency I started years later didn't even
oh, the
exist.
gap. Imagine the gap.
Yeah, but now imagine the gap of like being a child today in school, realizing that ChatGPT has come out and ChatGPT 4 is like in the 99th percentile for the passing the bar exam. Like this is
Yeah.
no longer science fiction or anything. It's just happening. Like it could go out there and it could pass the bar exam. So you're all of a sudden looking at this going, okay, cool. Like, well, where does this lead to? What happens next? And I had this conversation on another podcast very recently. AI was supposed to come after blue collar jobs like the factory workers, the people like that, the delivery drivers. We thought those guys were the ones that were going to get screwed the first by AI, and it hasn't happened. Tesla struggled to get AI to build cars. It turns out they're not careful enough. They can't quite make sure that it's okay. They think it's fitted, but actually it hasn't. So all of these things play a part. And then actually the real people that are going to get hit first are marketers, storytellers,
Yeah.
videographers, photographers, artists. This is huge, right? And then you can start going to the point of saying, well, is there a chance that a computer system like a chat GPT could learn and be a better lawyer? Could it become a better accountant? Of course it could, in
Yeah, of
theory.
course,
So
absolutely.
all of
Yeah.
these things are now like so what do you want your kid to learn to do next? Well, realistically, you want them to learn to code, to learn
To
how to
program to
use the
speak to the
platforms that are
computers and
online.
machines. Yes, of course,
Yeah, and learn how to
absolutely.
do this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agreed. But again, what I would like to see, you ask my opinion about what I think about this Fortnite thing. I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. I'd like to see a Fortnite Academy. I don't know if they've done it. I don't know if someone is in the cusp of doing it, but we definitely need to wire our youth into, okay, you can go play, you can go have fun, you can go interact, but don't forget to learn something or two, right? So I think that would be I don't know if that's their purpose, but I think we should always, push forward. Like, let's make sure that education it's always put as well on the forefront and not on the back burner. Because I can tell you, we're all gonna have like a generation that's all of a sudden is like, yeah, not interested about doing that, not interested about doing that. The only thing I'm interested, it's about being a busybody on the metaverse and have fun. Yeah, but right.
I've really enjoyed this first episode. I can't wait for us to keep going. I know we've got already some plans in the works for the next episodes, but we're going to try and get this out every week. So to everybody listening, you can find this on your favorite podcasting app, but you'll also be able to find our episodes on YouTube where you can find the videos and see us in real life. Not in the
Nice.
metaverse yet, but we'll try and get there eventually.
We, should, we,
Alexis,
should we try to sell merch right away? I mean, like, buy this blue black T-shirt. Like, buy my black T-shirt. Like, go. Like, the link below. Like, buy. First
link below
episode
to a
right
generic black
away.
t-shirt. Yeah.
We're not forgetting anything. Come on. Episode number 1. Buy the merch.
It's also available as a digital collectible. Thanks.
As a matter of fact, link
Well,
below.
listen, Alexis, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed it again.
Yeah,
And
likewise,
hopefully, like I
man.
said, can't wait to get next week's episode recorded and out as well.
For real. Okay, guys. Bye. Thank you very much. Take care.